For a city of around 136,000 people, Kingston has more than its share of local breweries. But few have a connection to the local music scene quite like MacKinnon Brothers Brewing. Made from ingredients grown on their family farm just outside town in Bath, MacKinnon Brothers applies over 200 years of farming heritage to the products they supply to many of the local bars and venues in town. But the MacKinnon farm is more than just a brewery. Since 2015, MacKinnon Brothers Brewing has hosted Back to the Farm, the annual music and beer festival held on their property. In only a few years, Back to the Farm has become a highlight of the local festival season, in high demand among both festival goers and musicians alike. This is Kingston Live, and in this episode, Sideshow sits down with co-founders and cousins Daniel MacKinnon and Ben Vandenberg to learn how their family farm became a staple for musicians both local and beyond.
I didn't need to plan social activity because I would just I'll go to Miziki and all my friends will be there.
And it was just wow, the band's here so good.
It doesn't feel like a competition, it feels like a collaboration, and that's really special, I think.
Kingston's my heart.
I like that there's music going on while we do this too.
We might have the most live music going on in town right
How do
now.
you guys pull off all this live music all the time?
Well, we didn't know
it's
about this
literally
one.
Yeah,
We loosely knew about this one. This was as big a surprise as it was to you as it was to us. So.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah, it's great.
But you're already here anyway to talk to me, so
Yeah,
I mean, really, we might as well.
We might get some barbecue out of it.
All right. My name's Sideshow, by the way. We're here at the MacKinnon Brothers Farm right now with Ben and Dan. How you doing, boys?
Pretty good. Sideshow, you?
Good. Good to see
Well,
you guys.
thank you.
Good to
I
have you
think it's
back.
been a couple of weeks since we last crossed paths with the Back to the Farm Festival.
Yeah.
Have you guys fully... Because you guys had to go, from that right into the first Grandstand show, right?
Yeah, it was a lot in a very short amount of time, and we will never do it that way again. Plus, we had a wedding in between there, so
Oh, good.
yeah, we got the triple threat there. But yeah, we learned a lot from doing it that day. Not to mention, it was literally possibly the hottest place on planet Earth that day for Back to the Farm.
Back to the Farm was probably the hottest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, it was gross. I walked. A couple stats from that day. I walked 26.3 kilometers according to my phone, and I drank over 12 1-liter Nalgene's of water. Which
I don't
I've drank
mind
that
the
much
heat.
beer before, but I've never drank that much water before. That was ungodly.
Dan, you don't mind the heat?
I don't mind the heat. I like it. I mean, I feel for everyone else who's complaining about it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me that much.
Well, you got singers in the bands having heat stroke backstage and
Yeah.
stuff.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I haven't seen. It hasn't been proven in court.
I think getting up in a hay mow when you're young and it's 45
Yeah,
degrees up
that's
there
true.
and putting in a couple weeks doing hay up there kind of gets you used to it, And then 42, and you're not doing that much work. It's like a breeze.
So Dan, you've been working on the farm your whole life?
Yeah. Pretty much from the time that you could physically do anything productive, you're working on the farm.
So what, I remember my grandparents had a farm, and I was always called on when the cows got out or when hay needed to go somewhere, and it was the worst job ever, moving hay from one place to another. You were working on the farm all the time, and you now have all this property, this beautiful farm. What made you go, hey, you know what we should do? We should make beer here, because that's not what this farm was used for before.
No, well, I thankfully, my parents, I don't know if they encourage us, but they didn't discourage us from going and doing our own thing.
Yeah.
So I went and worked in the brewing industry. I got my master's degree in brewing and distilling, and then there's a point where my grandfather died and my dad was here by himself on the farm, maybe one hired guy. So I came back kind of to help him, and I was unloading a truck of barley. And when you're unloading the truck of barley, you're just sitting there looking at it, making sure nothing fucks up, that the barley doesn't spill over the ground. So you get some time on your hands. And this is before you have a smartphone, so you got a lot of time on your hands. And so I was just running the numbers, how much beer, using my experience, how much beer you could make from all that barley in that truck. and what that would be roughly valued at. And the barley in the truck was worth maybe $300 a ton, and you can make about $20,000 worth of beer from that barley. And I was like, man, we're in the wrong business. So we started to try to start the brewery. We kept the farm going because it's important, and we wanted to really link. The farm's been in our family since 1784, so we didn't want to like obviously give up on that. So we wanted to do some value-added thing that made sense to keep the farm going, keep that tradition going, but also make it a sustainable business where it's profitable and you can support families and the local community and whatnot a bit more than just the farm did.
Was the goal always to just go full-on brewery, or was it kind of like at first like, oh, maybe we'll just brew some beer while we do the other farm stuff?
I think there was a point where we started fixing up one of the old, where the brewery is now was just an abandoned farmyard. So we just kind of started tinkering around, fixing it up, and there was like a point where I'm like, I paid like $3,000 out of my own pocket to pour the floor in the barn. I was like, well, we're friggin' into it now, you know. We're doing this now. So yeah, that's kind of when we made the call, I guess. And then yeah, it just kind of snowballed from there.
I always found with MacKinnon Brothers beers that I could usually tell that it was one of yours. There is, I feel, a distinct flavor to a MacKinnon Brothers beer.
I'd put it behind the water. Like there's a really unique water chemistry out here, and we get our water from limestone drilled well. That's going to give the water a unique character that's kind of passed on to all our beers. I mean, we try to use ingredients from our farm and other local farms in all the beers. So there's a unique character of the grain that we use from our farm in a lot of the beers as well.
The harvest is one that you guys wanted. So was the goal always to have a beer that was made 100% on the farm?
Our goal was, I guess that was the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Like maybe the ultimate goal is like someday maybe we could use all the ingredients could come from our farm or other local farms. But that's, as we've grown, like it's been hard to keep pace with the growth. But yeah, we're really proud of the harvest because all the ingredients do come, the hops and the water and the malt all come from our farm. And it's a really unique beer, and it's a little bit different every year because of the different climatic conditions of that year. So it's really special for us in that way. And yeah, that like achieved one of the main goals, and we're just really, really happy with that and the way that turned out.
I've been a big MacKinnon Brothers fan for a while, and not just because of the beer. The live music, the sense of community out here I love. You guys have been doing, obviously we had to take a year off from back to the farm. You came back to it in full force, it seemed like a few weeks ago. Tell me about where Back to the Farm came from, because you guys have made this really interesting community of beer and music and mesh those things together so nicely. Tell me about where Back to the Farm came from.
Well, it was maybe Ben's idea. I can't remember exactly, but it was a combo. It was like we wanted to. So many people helped us, like kind of get this place rolling. Your buddy's a plumber and he comes over and lends a hand on the weekend, to put some stuff in, or somebody popped by and gives you a recommendation or gives you a fair price on some equipment you need and things like that. So we wanted to it was initially a thank you to all the people who helped us. And then kind of word got out and people were like, hey, how do we get tickets to that party you guys are having? And we're like, whoa.
We didn't know it was going to be a thing. And then it's moved so organically. Like Dan was saying, it started as a thank you to even the people that just took a chance on us on taps. We were a little fish in a big pond, and we're still a little fish, but just the brand loyalty we've gotten from not only patrons, but restaurant owners, managers, the people who serve our beer, everyone has been so awesome to us. It was just, the best way we could thank them was with $5 beers and free tickets to our festival, and it's just grown as the years have gone on and people have bought in even harder. And now we're at the point where we can start getting pretty legitimate acts to come in and rock the house pretty hard.
I picture the first festival on the hay wagon, and now on this grandstand that you guys have built out here. You've obviously seen it grow a lot, both in size, literally, of stage, in size of audience, and in size of the bands you've had come on. The one thing I do love about it is while you do have Matt Mays, and you do have the Beaches the year previous. The amount of local music that gets up on the stage that you guys get over the course of the entire day. It's funny, there are bands that I feel like I've watched grow on your stage.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you guys that these bands want to be a part of what you're doing?
I don't know. It means a lot. People have bought in. Like, the Wilderness is a prime example. I think it was like the second or third year we had them come out and play, and everyone got trashed and they're rolling around in a huge hay bale that got ripped apart, and Sasha and Jonas could barely walk out of here. To this year where they released their album down at the Hip House, which is our farmland surrounds their entire studio. So we kind of were down there a few nights watching them grow, and they've grown from, they were just kids at Queens then, and now they're grown men and putting out like serious banging shows. Like they had arguably the best time slot at the festival, and it showed just like the sheer amount of people dancing in front of them. They arguably had the biggest crowd at Back to the Farm during the hottest part of the day. So I think that's a testament to show how much they've grown.
The hottest part of the day, I would agree. That was like sun was just coming up over the the barn here and just hitting the stage. You mentioned the bathhouse, the Hip Studio, which basically backs onto your property here. That's been there for a long time. Obviously, this farm has been here forever. Ever any run-ins with the Hip or with the bathhouse?
Yeah, like I think I go down there quite a bit, whether like Greg Ball's recording there, or like, Billy Ray Coster is my neighbor just down the road.
Yeah.
He's always there walking around, and, always good to chat and do whatever. And, the Wilderness, or there's been a bunch of people recording there, and, I become just through the downtown stuff. I know, Paul pretty well now, and, Baker was down there recording with those guys. So yeah, there's a lot of run-ins with them. It's a pretty small community around here, and it's kind of funny that they walk around. They're such national treasures everywhere else, but around here they're just dudes who have a cool like old house on the lake, and with a lot of cool stuff in it. But yeah, they're super nice guys, and they've always been super accommodating whenever we go in there.
I remember growing up, when the Hip were touring around, and they went on a U.S. or world tour or something like that, and they didn't weigh their equipment beforehand, and then they just estimated it, and then they got totally shafted when they showed up at the airport or whatever with the like extra, because it was way more weight than they guessed. So they came down and asked like my dad or grandfather at the time, I can't remember. We have a big grain scale that you can like pull a truck on down to the farm, and like, hey, can we use that? And they're like, yeah, go for it. It's like, pull your stuff on there. Like, it doesn't, just go in and check the weight in this little scale house. And then they drove off, and I remember it was, I don't remember which album maybe it was Phantom Power had just come out at that time, and they brought like every single Hip album and a bunch of shirts and everything for the family, and dropped it off at the farmhouse down the road where I grew up, which I remember being that was kind of cool. I remember listening to all those albums. And also we used to go sledding down. There's a big hill behind where the Hip Studios, and we'd make this jump over the fence. They had a fence there, and which is one of the guys in the band in the Hip used to dog sled a lot, and I guess his dog got out and got into some trouble because they went over the jump that we built over their fence, and then they asked us to stop sledding on their property in a nice way.
Even when they, they did a weed launch, that weed company they were part
Up.
of. Yeah, Up. They did the launch down at the Hip House, and they invited us down to pour a beer. And I sat and had dinner with Ivan and Gord Sinclair and stuff, and talk about just being nice Canadian, small town Canadian guys. Just all they wanted to do was talk about the brewery, and they just had rocked the shit out of the entire country, putting on arguably the greatest concert in Canadian history, and all they wanted to talk about was the brewery. So just really nice guys, and always been there for us. Paul's played here a couple times too on the stage. So yeah, really nice guys, good dudes.
I would talk to you guys all the time about like, what are you guys doing next for music? And we had talked about, putting bands in the barn. And now you've got this Grandstand. You did the Bluestones in the Wilderness, and the Wilderness fresh off of, like you said, like a show-stopping set at Back to the Farm. and then the Bluestones. What's the plan for the Grandstand? How often do you? You mentioned earlier that you did it too soon after Back to the Farm. How often do you want to be able to use that Grandstand?
Do you want to just let the cat out of the bag right now?
Well, yeah. We built that thing initially just like, whoa, we don't want to set up these hay wagons in this tent all the time anymore.
And it also looked like super half-assed and shitty, even though it was like the best we could do at the time for the financial means we had. It was super like, I don't know. Like it was amateur hours.
Fun.
So it was
a fun
it wasn't
thing.
fun. That sucked.
No, it was a farm.
Farm. Yeah, it was super farmy.
It was like,
but
it
definitely
very
wasn't
farmy.
fun.
It's half-assed. So then we're like, let's build this thing, and so we're pretty resourceful, and we traded some beer for a couple of things, and had
an opening slot for one of the bands at the festival, I think too, right?
Yeah, Swamp Gas.
Swamp
Yeah.
Gas.
That was just Brad's just a beauty, and him and his
He's
buddies.
my buddy's dad. He's a carpenter, and they did all that. They did all the decking, like that. They put all the cedar on the deck and on the roof on that thing. We paid them, but they also got the opening slot at
they were a ton of fun.
They were
awesome.
awesome.
And they're really great guys. They're like, we'll be your sound check band. We'll do it every year. We'll get that sound just sounding great. No, they were good. So then we hired this really awesome woman to work here. She manages all our events, Natasha, and she just kills it. She organized the Grandstand show, so she wants to do a Grandstand series throughout the summer. So it's June, July. There'll be a show each month, and then in August we'll do Back to the Farm, and then another show in September. So 3 big shows and Back to the Farm next summer, and kind of just sort of build it organically from there. If that seems like enough demand, or if there's less, maybe less shows, or if there's more demand, we'll do more.
The thing about these shows is we're really trying to attack like top quality acts. Like, obviously, I don't think Elton John's going to be playing here anytime soon.
Never say never.
Been here a couple of times,
That's
man.
true.
Been to town a couple of times.
We identified a big gap in the music industry in this town, like for being such a lucrative music market in terms of having, some of Canada's biggest bands are coming out of this town, but other than the K-Rock Center. Sorry, not the K-Rock Center. Actually, you know what?
The Leon Center.
It is, no, it's the
Leon
K-Rock
Center.
Center in my
It's the
heart. It
Leon
doesn't
Center.
matter. Oh, sorry, Sideshow.
Yeah, it's the Leon Center.
You know what?
Hey,
It is
what?
Leon.
I don't even know.
Anyway, we just identified there's a big gap. There's no proper outdoor music venue in town or around town. Sure, they've done like Crossing the Causeway back in the day, which was my first hip concert ever. But, that's like a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Yeah.
Richardson Stadium, they've thrown 2 shows there in the last 20 years. There's no proper outdoor venue that can compete with something like Budweiser Stage in Toronto. And this isn't Budweiser Stage, but it's definitely a more organic version, and that's what we're looking to do. And I think we have the ability to, and we proved it with Back to the Farm. We've proved it with the Bluestone show, which was a raging success. And the Bluestones are still an up-and-coming band, They were blown away. Their agents were blown away, their management. And we got a proven formula that works here. And we want to try and attract some really strong acts for next year and the years coming from that.
Thank you for listening to Kingston Live. Be sure to subscribe on your platform of choice and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. For show listings, artist info, and all things Kingston music, check out our new website, kingstonlive.ca. You can also hear our sister show, Kingston Live On Air, on Amherst Island Radio 92.1 FM and CFRC 101.9 FM.
I mean, you guys have been here forever, and you've now been kind of entrenched in the music scene here for a while since you've started doing the festival and, like you said, working, closely with the bars and the venues and stuff. What is it about the Kingston music scene? What is it about the bands in this city, the music that comes through this city?
It seems to me like just when we started Back to the Farm, I didn't, let's get some local bands out. You don't realize how deep it goes, like how many actually awesome bands and awesome musicians there are. I mean, I wish we could have more Back to the Farms because there's so many people who are great and want to play, and that surprised me. Like, I wasn't, not that I don't like music, but it wasn't my thing. I wasn't in the music scene at all, and I don't really consider myself in it that much other than helping to organize Back to the Farm and the shows. But it's just, there's so many awesome musicians out there that it's like, and they come out of the woodwork every year. Like I just wish we could give them all a chance to get up on stage at Back to the Farm and slowly but surely we're getting through them.
I find this thing is like we know fun. That's what we're good at. Yeah,
Right.
we're not. We can't play it. We can't carry a note in a bucket. Like that's just the way it is. But we know how to have a lot of fun, and music's a big part of having fun. And we've seen the proofs of success and following we've gotten from Back to the Farm, and it was easy to identify that gap. And even knowing like we're buddies with the guys in the Suns, buddies with a lot of musicians, and you know there's a real market for that. So that was my big thing. We just know how to throw a good party. And we've been doing it since we were in university, just throwing illegal keg parties. So,
Just this one you get permits for, right?
yeah, unfortunately. The red tape's not fun, but I guess that's part of being an adult.
Do you have a dream band on that stage? Do you have
Man, I've been trying to get the Glorious Sons here for 5 fucking... If any of you guys are listening... No, they're good buddies of ours, but... They're just so fucking big now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
14,000 people at Richardson Stadium.
Is that how many it was?
Yeah.
That was the number they told me when I went up to
That's a lot.
Yeah.
bring Matt Mays on
So,
stage.
like-
That's a lot of people.
Local guys at, they live in Odessa. Dan went to high school with Jay. Like, Brett, I used to coach fucking Brett in football.
Yeah.
Speedy, wasn't fast. Or had good hands. He was
Why
actually,
doesn't that surprise me?
He's actually a horrendous athlete. But anyway, that we've been working on that one. But, who knows? Who knows? I think now that once we get a reputation, once we prove ourselves, anything's possible. Like, we're talking to the Arkells right now. We're talking to Blue Rodeo. We're talking to some top-tier acts right now, the Sheepdogs. But nothing's signed. Nothing's in paper.
We also had some ideas for some just fun party shows. I think it was your idea, Ben, to like get the Kingston Symphony Orchestra out here playing like modern music or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know
that'd be
anything
awesome.
about how that would work. I don't know if they'd want to do it or if
We're
we could
working
afford
on,
it. But like that would be a cool show to have or
We're
something.
working on Dwayne Gretzky right now, have a 90s nostalgia field party night. If you've ever seen Dwayne Gretzky, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And once again, fun is awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep rolling with that. But nothing's set in stone. We'll release everything next year. And but so far, so good.
Yeah, we're always like keeping our ear to the ground. Like someone said that Neil Young's living in Peterborough right now. I don't know. Is he still playing music?
I'm waiting for the MacKinnon Brothers T-shirt to come out that says "Fun is awesome." Can we get that on a shirt?
We might have just coined something. I don't know.
Throw it on a hat or something.
Yeah.
Like "Fun is awesome."
Yeah,
I'd wear it.
get a big red hat.
Yeah.
It says "Fun is awesome" on the front of it.
Throwing the festival's got to be a hell of a day. Like, I mean, I run into you guys at the festival about 1 billion times throughout the day. You're running here, running there. You're on the, on the little gator thing, driving around, carrying things. You're moving bands everywhere. Tell me about what you love about the festival, though, because I know, like, I see you guys and you're doing it's almost over.
Yeah.
It's almost, but tell me what you love about the
The
festival.
ending.
Yeah.
The ending,
Pretty
yeah.
sick.
Cracking a
Like,
couple beers
Yeah.
after everyone leaves.
Yeah, no, it's very humbling to see everyone come out and have a great time. But it's, like you said, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of people grabbing, trying to get their hands on tickets and stuff because it sells out so quick, which is an awesome problem to have. It's just a lot of juggling people and relationships and girlfriends and girlfriends' friends and friends of their girlfriends' friends and stuff. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's become quite a day and once again, it's very humbling for people to want to come out here and enjoy the space that we've created literally with our own backs and a lot of borrowed farm equipment. So we've been super fortunate that way.
I like to see everyone. I agree with Ben, but I also like to see everybody like kind of coming out and sort of palling around. Like you get to see, I haven't seen you in a year or two. Like, it's like kind of a big community thing. You get to see people and chat with people you haven't seen in a long time, like in person, over a beer, listening to awesome music or trying some awesome barbecue or awesome food trucks that are out in the field or just sitting in the hops, with your family. Like it's family friendly event. People bring their whole families out here. There's kids chasing frogs around the pond. It's like, it's just a good, wholesome day for everybody. And, we've, knock on wood, we never really had any issues at it. And it's just nice to see, nice to see a good community spirited day and everyone having fun. Just puts a smile on my face and makes it worth all the many small headaches
Yeah.
that arise. But
Yeah.
everyone. Another nice thing is like you'd think there'd be more issues, but so many people are actually just want to have fun. Like any issue is almost always solved by the patrons of the festival before you get there. Like somebody's too drunk, somebody else has already got him a water
Which has
and a
never
hamburger.
happened.
No,
Never once.
no, but you know,
Did you see how?
stuff like that is already taken care of before you even get to it.
The other big thing, it's a monster community day. Like we don't charge the vendors anything. We only charge them $100 each so we can cover the catering for the volunteers and bands, and the rest is take home. There are some serious numbers and meals being handed out this year, and that's just all take home. And it's just a great relationship networking day and puts a smile on everyone's face, and that's what it's about. If without a community or surrounding you, you got nothing.
When I talk about community with you guys, especially with the festival, I feel like I'm talking about, Kingston and this area. But you guys are in this little tiny town of Bath out here. How does that community take to the festival? Is it like the,
Other than
Woodstock
wanting,
and all the
like-
hippies are coming to town and the farmers are...
Other than like them wanting us to provide buses for the 1 kilometer walk to Bath.
Sure. Yeah.
Other than that, I think everyone has a good time because, I know we emptied every single place out of ice this year, because we ran out of ice. And I know everyone's Airbnbs filled up. And I know the one bed and breakfast in town was also juiced that day. So, yeah, I think it's a good... let's get real. Loyals Township doesn't have a lot going on in it. It's pretty quiet. So
I've lived in it all my life.
exactly.
I understand.
So you get it. So the fact that we can help be a catalyst for maybe something bigger, because arguably we have one of the bigger tourist attractions right next door in Prince Edward County. Yeah. Kingston's an excellent town, which has an excellent music bar, restaurant scene, entertainment scene, and we're stuck in the middle. And I think there could be so much more. We have so much lake frontage. We have so much we could be doing. And slowly but surely, I think that's happening, especially in Bath, more restaurants, more homes. So it's great to have, and I'm excited to see it. It's just nice to maybe, be a bit of a catalyst for some economic development around here as well.
Yeah, the people in Bath are pretty good. They like the festival. I think no one complains about the music. Their biggest complaint is when... more in particular, my dog is running around down in Bath there, causing trouble and whatnot.
And that has nothing to do with the festival.
That's
That's
nothing
just
to do with the
any
festival,
given day.
but if you don't leave my dog alone, we're not going to have the festival anymore.
It's funny. I find it so weird that I could be here one day and, seeing... Matt Mays and Miss Emily in the Wilderness and this huge concert with thousands of people. And a week before, bring my daughter for a book reading about a puppy or something. You guys have created this place that kind of, they always say don't try and serve everybody. Find your audience and don't try and make your audience everybody. But I think you guys have kind of done a really good job of doing that.
I think that the book reading, that's that was Topsy Farm and those guys over there who are awesome. We've been friends with for forever. We're like-minded kind of people, and they're like, hey, can we do this book reading? Like, yeah, for sure. Come on out. They just set it up themselves. They don't have to worry too much about it, and they're really capable people, and they got a lot of people to come out, and you are enjoying a beer, and your daughter's listening to a story being told and then playing with puppies, and I think there was sheep there. It's like... that's fun for everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a
And
genius.
as we all
to
know, fun is awesome.
Fun is awesome.
TM.
Is this a hashtag now? Fun is awesome. Can we?
I don't know.
Yeah. So, it's like, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that that's going to be a success, and so you just kind of have to pick and choose and work with people who, are good people and are capable and are going to help put on a good event. And the book reading was a really good example of that.
Yeah, the more low maintenance, the better.
Yeah, yeah. We don't mind doing work, but back.
We got a lot of it.
Well, it's either we're just talking about
this.
this. It's either nothing. You're coming out here and getting your barbecue and just sitting at the picnic tables and getting beers, and that's what we've got. Or it's something big like the festival or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you can come and have your own book reading here if you're from an awesome sheep farm on Amherst Island, Topsy Farms. Go and visit it. Sweet.
Yeah, you guys have built something really cool here, and I don't know if that was your plan from the get-go. When you were like, hey, let's make a brewery, were you like, Okay, I know fun is awesome, but were you like, let's make a brewery that's going to be a concert venue, that's going to be a...
You're giving us way too much credit for forward thinking.
I didn't give you credit.
He asked if we thought about that, which the answer is no. We didn't think about that.
No, we don't think about much. We kind of just think about it and then do it and then realize how shitty it was and then try to do it better the next time and go from there. But yeah, the plan was never to really like have this as a destination. Like we didn't even start selling pints here until 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, it was quite a while.
We just gave free samples to people, and then we noticed people like posting up and kind of abusing that. And they're like, well, maybe we should just start selling pints. Dan pushed for it, and it's turned into this weekend event where we get, once again, local musicians out here to come. The old style barbecue guys are serving out top-notch barbecue. And once again, it's just kind of it started during lockdown where there was nothing else to do, but you could technically go gather in a huge outdoor space if you could properly socially distance. And what better place than a 15-acre licensed area to go drink beers at? So, once again, it started organically and it's kind of turned into something. So it's neat how that works.
Do you think the pandemic shifted the business at all for you? Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Shifted the way you do things? Shifted the way the festival's going to work from that? Like, did it make an effect on the way you guys do things?
If you went to the festival, it was just as good as any other festival, it seemed, in all respects.
Yeah.
We followed every single health precaution that KFLNA suggested, and that's my story.
And nobody
cases statistically also went down. Check the records.
So
cases
maybe
went down. So
Back to the Farm cures COVID.
You're not running for office here.
I'm just trying to cross the T's and dot the lowercase
Unless this is what you're telling us, and if that's the case, your campaign slogan is "Fun is awesome."
Fun is awesome.
This is a political free zone.
Yeah, we don't want to get involved.
Yeah,
in
but
any of
anyway,
that.
it definitely shifted. Like bars, for so long, our keg and can sales to bars and restaurants was our bread and butter, and it's still a monster aspect of our business. But when that just stopped abruptly. We were giving out all these refunds for kegs and stuff. We're like, that sucks. So yeah, we had to pivot pretty fast. Dan and I, to their credit, got a canning line in here, and we just started canning everything. And a guy who works for us, Keegan, really took charge on the home delivery front and started pivoting on that. And then, slowly we just kind of pivoted as much as we could. Arguably, the social distance pints and the barbecue out here really helped keep us afloat last summer because it was just there was nothing else to do, and this was something, even though it wasn't much. Something's better than nothing, right?
It helped us. It gave us an avenue to sell the beer that we had and that we took back from bars and restaurants. We struck up a deal with like Danby out of Guelph, big refrigerator maker, and got like a truckload of keg fridges, and got them at cost and pass the savings on to the customer. And we have the little keg fridge package where you get a MacKinnon Brothers branded keg fridge. The CO2 is all full. You just have to put it together and you get a keg with it. So that helped us kind of like have another avenue to sell our kegs. It's something we kind of always thought about. And then the pandemic's like, well, you got nothing but your time on your hands now. So we could kind of do all those projects. There was that. There was setting up for the social distance pints and the direct home deliveries. And now all those things they're not obviously to the same extent that they were during the height of the pandemic, but they're all things that looks like we're going to continue to do. Like every Friday we do home deliveries in the Kingston and Napanee area, and that doesn't look like it's going anywhere. Every weekend we're doing social distance pints. Well, that's what we call it, but pretty soon it'll just hopefully be called pints and barbecue or something different than social distance pints. And we still have the fridges you can get, so all those things that we were kind of forced to do, but they're still a good idea even after the pandemic, and now we're all set up for them. So I think we're even stronger as a business after the pandemic.
Yeah, it also gave us a pile of time to get a ton of shit done that we had been neglecting, like trying to finish that building over there, finish the new retail store, get shit ready for when inevitably things did open back up. So it put us in a nice lucrative position to be able to do Back to the Farm in a 1 month planning phase where usually we start planning it in January. That sucked. I hope that never happens again. But
I like a challenge.
Yeah, me too.
Well, guys, it's been a blast hanging with you today, Ben and Dan, MacKinnon Brothers. Guys, I think you've created something really cool with not only the beer, you know I'm a fan of the beer, and I'm going to brag about, loving your beer until you stop making it. There's a bug in mine actually right now.
It's protein.
But it'll be good for me. But the way you've turned
That bug wasn't in there before.
No. Hang on. Whoa.
We are outside.
We
right
are
now
outdoors.
by
The
a
bug
pond.
got in my beer while we were talking. Guys, it's been a blast hanging with you today. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for your
man.
interest
Appreciate it.
in the brewery and everything we're doing with the music. Really appreciate it.
Thanks to Kingston Live for the support. Everyone back here behind the scenes. Appreciate it.
This has been Kingston Live. We encourage you to rate us on your listening platform of choice and subscribe where possible. For show listings, artist info, and all things Kingston music, check out our new website, kingstonlive.ca. Kingston Live was produced in Kingston by Titan Sound, hosted by Sideshow, writing and research by Peter Sanfilippo, voiceovers by Riley Jabor and John Sanfilippo, photos by Virginia Meeks, promotional assistance by Jackson Coulter, executive producer Rob Howard. Kingston Live is a member of the Canadian Live Music Association. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at podcast@kingstonlive.ca.